Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content, and if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got 10 more extremely underrated knives I want to share with you guys. This is fun to do periodically because as many knives as I handle, and believe me, I handle a lot on this channel, there are certain models that I just love, and then for whatever reason they just don't take off with the knife community. So this is good for people, you know, a lot of us have the same models shoved in our face all the time by different channels, myself included. And I just think there's knives out there that a lot of people would really love if they'd take a chance on them. So I do this to highlight some of those models. I will link each and every one of these models down in the description so that you can check them out for yourself. They are all available right now. That was part of the criteria for this list. This is a screen recorded upload. Not everybody likes these, but if you don't know, I have consistently uploaded 14 videos a week for the last year and a half. So if you don't like the screen recorded stuff, that's perfectly fine. I do these usually once a week. The other 13 videos that I did this week are all hands-on physical reviews of knives. So if you don't like this, I can promise you I've got other stuff that you might want to check out. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there's a link down in the description. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. There's also individual reviews of every single knife on this list. So if you'd like to check out my full review of these knives, you can simply type in Metal Complex and then the name of the knife you want to check out. I've still got a cough. I'm trying to get around it. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to be coughing through this. Let's start off here with the first one. This is the Spyderco Ladybug in K390. Now, specifically, the Ladybug is a great model, but specifically this K390 version is just insane. I've had one of these on my keychain ever since I saw Cedric and Ada review this knife, like close to a year ago. I thought that looks like that looks like a pretty sweet item to keep on my keychains, right? At the time, I had the Spyderco Bug, and it was okay. The keychain knife, the idea there is that I always have a knife no matter what, you know, in a pinch. And I thought, oh, I'll use it, you know, once a month. Actually, I use my keychain knife quite a bit. I found that sometimes I lay my pocket knife, when I come home, I lay my pocket knife down somewhere, and my keys, for whatever reason, seem to be more within reach than wherever it was that I laid my knife down. So at home, this thing gets used basically just for opening packages, but it's always there. K390 is insane stuff. It's not stainless, but it holds an edge for, like, again, it's like CPM M4 on steroids. I have not had to sharpen this. Mine is got adhesive and stuff all over it, but it just keeps going. This is pretty expensive for a teeny tiny little knife, and I mean teeny tiny. I think the blade is less than, what is it, less than 2 inches. The standard Ladybug I think might come in at like 30 bucks. This guy comes in about 60 bucks, something like that. Yeah, this is like a forever keychain knife. I love this thing. I don't regret spending a single dollar of the 60 that I spent on it. I don't regret it at all. I love this thing. This is probably the most recommendable keychain knife in existence. If you decide to pick this up, you will not regret it. It's just like a tiny lockback PM2 that you keep on your keychains, and it's mega lightweight. It is fairly large for an object you would keep on your keys, but I think once you get used to it, and especially after you find yourself using it, you're really going to like it. Moving on here, yeah, the Hinder fire tag. Look, it has some popularity. It does. The shining golden god of Hinder knives is the XM18. Probably, I think it's safe to say that for right now, there's no model that's going to outshine the XM18. But Hinder has some other gems in the lineup. When they first released the fire tack, or the production fire tack, because it was a custom variant from forever ago, it was back before the Triway. I picked one up. People were like, wow, cool. Hinder fans specifically were like, wow, neat. And then everybody else just was like, okay, whatever. Part of the reason is they're expensive. These are American-made knives, 425 bucks, just like a base XM18. Now, these new versions have the Triway pivot system. The image you're looking at right now, I'm sure people are like, that's a Spanto and it's got straight edge, it's not a recurve, right? The newer ones, the first Triway ones were recurves. The newest versions of these are all Triway, and that Triway pivot system brings this thing up to the standards that we have in today's knife world. You want the fidget factor, you want the smooth action, right? It's there. The reason the Benchmade 710 was so popular was because of its profile and lines. This is very similar to the Benchmade 710 in terms of the profile and the ergonomic lines, but it's a titanium frame lock that has the tri-way pivot system, so you can swap out between bearings and phosphor bronze. That thumb disc, well, generally speaking, or traditionally with me, has not been the most ideal means of deployment, but the positioning of it on this knife makes it so good. So good. Anybody who owns this knife will tell you, yeah, this is excellent. The other nice thing is because of channels like mine and some other, channels out there who have been promoting Hinder knives here lately, people I think are more interested in Hinder knives. People who have shied away from the more expensive territories of the knife world. You look at Hinder knives and you think, a lot of people are like, I'm actually kind of digging that, but gosh, 425 bucks for a knife, and am I even going to like the heavy robustness? That's not really my thing. The nice thing about the Firetech is it's much thinner than the XM18. Overall profile and on the spine of the blade, much thinner. This is going to speak to people a little bit, but people who aren't necessarily into the big, robust, overbuilt knives, but kind of like Hinder's aesthetic, this is going to speak a million times better to you. If you are going to venture into the $400 territory and you're somewhat interested in Hinder knives, but you're not big into the robust ones, the Firetech is incredible. I really wish that more people would get... These can be a little bit difficult to find right now. There are a few of them floating around out there. I'm sure we'll see more in the future. I'll try to link active links down below. It depends on when you're watching the video. But yeah, if you get an opportunity, pick up a Firetech. These are amazing and very underrated. Moving on here, the Artisan Cutlery Arroyo. Again, it does have some popularity backing it, but not enough. This knife is a freaking laser beam. It's also very inexpensive. The G10 variants of this knife come in at 40 bucks, something like that. Oh my gosh. Foreign-made knife, but very inexpensive. Fit and finish is incredible. Flipper tab is in exactly the right place. Detent's tuned properly. That clip point blade, in my opinion, looks really good. Excellent tip. Most importantly, that cutting belly is insane. This is very thin behind the edge. It's going to check a lot of enthusiast boxes for a lot of people, and at the same time, you can pick one up without breaking the bank. 40 bucks. This is a really, really excellent knife, and I don't understand why more people haven't taken a shot at this. Maybe, excuse me, maybe the clip point blade and the profile is not exactly what people, and truthfully, this isn't an aesthetic that I generally go for, but after handling it, oh my gosh. If you go back to that knife guy episode where I talked with Russell from Artisan Cutlery, I gushed over this thing. Despite it being something that I wouldn't normally have gone for, but they sent me one in. I loved it. I can, pretty much guarantee somebody who, maybe if you don't like the profile, you go ahead and roll the dice on this, you pick it up and you start using it, you're really going to like this. This is this is an unsung hero of Artisan Cutlery and CJRB knives. It's kind of in between. I mean, it's an Artisan Cutlery knife, but it's priced like a CJRB, and it has that more, upper class knife world feel to it. There's not really a way to explain it, but people who own it will probably echo my thoughts down in the comments section. So, yeah, I would say this is stupid underrated, even though it has got a little bit of attention. This list isn't necessarily knives that have gotten no attention that need attention. No, it might be knives that are decently popular that I think should be more popular, just generally underrated knives. Moving on here, yeah, this is oh my gosh, the OffGrid Rhino. Now this is kind of in between a budget knife and kind of a medium range knife. I think these come in at 60 to 80 bucks, something like that. It's just D2 and G10. But it does manage to capture that whole robust essence of a knife without feeling massively cumbersome. Generally speaking, with a robust knife, what you get is robust across the board. This knife has a blade that is ultra performance oriented, but at the same time is very durable because of the geometry. And then the handle scales are wonderfully ergonomic, a little bit extra. More. This isn't a knife that you're going to EDC in an office. This is going to be more of an outdoor work knife. But the profile of the blade, the profile of the handle, the flipper tab. I mean, the flipper tab, the nice thing about that huge rounded flipper tab is that if you're wearing gloves, you're still going to be able to flip it. Everything about this knife is robust, but also not in excess or to the point where it's unnecessary. It's all driven towards function as an outdoor work tool. These just didn't, they're exclusively available on Amazon, I think. And they're not at the major retailers. That's part of the reason why I think they didn't take off. And because it just kind of looks like a plain knife. When OffGrid offered to send this to me, I thought, okay, they've done some cool stuff. I really like the Scorpion and some other stuff. Sure, I'll take a look at another one. This is my favorite right behind the Scorpion. It's my favorite off-grid knife right behind the Scorpion. I love this. This is D2 steel, G10. Fit and finish is excellent. These are made by Bestech, so the quality is absolutely there. I very much suggest, the pocket clip is also excellent. I very much suggest that you check these out. Moving on here, holy crap. The Spyderco Sage. Both the 1 and the 5, whether you go with the lightweight 5 or the peel ply carbon fiber 5. There's a Sage 2, a 3, a 4, right? The ones that are available right now are the Sage 1 liner lock in Maximate, or the Sage 5 lightweight in the compression lock in S30V, or the lightweight, the laminate carbon fiber in G10 and S30V with the compression lock. It doesn't matter which one of these you pick up. This knife and many other Spydercos are heavily overshadowed by the ultra famous Spydercos, the Para 3, the PM2. Definitely. This thing is a powerhouse just sitting in the shadows. This is one of the most unbelievable EDC. This is so good. So good. And, you know, the Maximate one is pricey, but this lightweight one is like $120, $125. This is phenomenal. Lightweight, thin on the spine, that leaf-shaped blade, which I think is Spyderco's very best blade shape. One of the best EDC blade shapes of all time. Very thin behind the edge. Excellent pocket clip. T8 screws. Minimal hardware overall. The compression lock. Very easy to manipulate. Very smooth, right? I don't like FRN, but man, they did a great job with it. About the only flaw with this knife is it doesn't have a sharpening choil. Oh well. That area of your knife is going to look a little bit weird over time, but everything else is just fine. And if you really want a sharpening choil, you can probably just make one. It's just too good. It's a shame that this is not being shouted from the mountaintops on every single channel. If you ignore, you know, everything else on this list, pick up a Sage. These are Taichung, Taiwan, not US Spydercos, but they're not Chinese Spydercos either. These are made in Taichung, Taiwan. Yeah, you will not be disappointed with this knife, and I think a lot of people will find that it is their go-to choice for EDC after having handled it. I love this knife, and I think you will too. Moving on here, the Protec Newport. Yeah, I think the reason that people, you know, don't give this one a second glance is it is one of the most boring-looking knives out there. It's very classy, very, you know, sort of gentlemanly, and if you're all about that, if you're all about that life, then yeah, you're gonna love this. This is a shorter blade. I want to say it's about, what are these, seven and a half, something like that. Very thin profile, very skinny blade. Not much in the way of ergonomic lines, but you can definitely hold on to it. Firing power is awesome. Here's my favorite part about these. I mean, it's a Protec, so it's excellent. If you have not heard me say that before, Protec makes the very best side-opening automatic knives on the planet. They also make them here in the United States, which is great. Firing power is great. This is in not 154 cm, no, S35VN, which is not common for Protec. On top of that, base price of these guys, $150. This is great. Excellent. If you can carry an automatic knife in your area, the EDC profile on this is wonderful. The carry weight is wonderful. Build quality is great. Yeah, this is an excellent knife. It's got its quirks, for sure, mainly in the ergonomic department, but everything else about this knife is wonderful. It's wonderful. Protec has a lot of hidden gems. I don't think they make a bad model, but this one is, I think, too often overlooked by the knife community. I didn't even really know it existed, probably because when I was looking through their stuff on Blade HQ, I came across this and I was like, it's not, you know, and that didn't even register. And after having handled one, I can say it is definitely an excellent model. Moving on here, another Protec that I think is overlooked, maybe not as much. This is the Protec Godson. This has that old school kind of mafia boss look to it, hence the name Godson. You know, the larger counterpart is the Godfather, which I think is the one that people who are looking for this style of knife go for because they want the big. This one actually has an excellent EDC profile as well, and despite the handle looking like just a big rectangle, because it has that taper up at the top where it kind of widens out and then it starts thin and it tapers up again out to the butt. The weird thing is that the handle actually works. It's not like, you know, melt in your hand perfect ergonomics, but your hand is locked in. In a way that you wouldn't expect. The blade is very needle-like and pointy, so it's not a super durable tip. I thought that this one was super tiny and that the Godfather was like a normal size knife. No, it's actually the opposite. The Godfather is a massive, massive, almost kind of old school Italian style automatic knife, just with newer or modern elements. And then this guy is a normal sized one. I want to say this guy comes in at 7.5 to 8 inch, something like that. Yeah, and then the base price on these isn't bad either. I want to say it's between 150 and 175 bucks. You can get more expensive versions. These guys are 154 cm, which is fine. That's one of my favorite steels, but admittedly, it is a steel that, you know, we're seeing at the sub $100 mark, so it's less, you know, it feels like less of a steel you should see at this price point, but it's still very good. It's one of the most well-rounded steels out there, and it's wonderful for EDC. This knife's biggest weakness, aside from its lack of ergonomic lines, is that the tip is very delicate, so you got to be careful with that. But as an EDC knife, for people who prefer automatics, I don't understand why this isn't more popular. This is great, and it's cool looking. It's got that, you know, kind of old gangster movie look. You know, it's just it's cool. I like it. I think you know, if more people took a chance on this, I think that they would really, really enjoy it. And again, I'm not saying this knife isn't popular. I think it's not popular enough. I think that a lot of people would find enjoyment out of picking this up, people who have overlooked it. Moving on here, I'm cheating. This one was actually on another list, but I'm going to bring it to light again because it's been further overshadowed by the newest addition to the large OTF family from Microtech. This is the Microtech Direct Delta. This is a knife that's about the same size as the Combat Troodon and the new Scarab 2, but it's thinner, both in blade and in the handle profile. It's kind of like if you beefed up the Ultratech a little bit, made it a little bit longer, and put the firing switch on the face rather than the spine. That's kind of what you're getting here. This thing fires just as hard as I can tell. I mean, as far as I can tell, just as hard as the Combat Troodon, but it's easier to carry. As far as large OTFs go, this is the easiest to carry large OTF that I've ever handled. I've gotten some massive satisfaction out of the Combat Troodon or big OTFs from other companies like Guardian Tactical. That Recon 40 is insane, right? But the problem with all of those, including the new Scarab 2, which I have handled, is they're so huge, right? Not a big deal. I'm not like, oh gosh, my weak arms, oh, I can't possibly carry, I'm just not manly enough to carry the Scarab 2. No, it's just annoying after a while to carry a big rectangle, you know, a big three-dimensional rectangle. This guy's a little bit easier to carry. It makes a little bit more sense. It carries a lot like an Ultratech. You forget that it's actually bigger. I personally like the firing switch on the face. That's something that I don't like about, you know, a lot of popular OTFs out there. This thing is, because of that, fully ambidextrous. And I think they're all dagger ground blades, which is fine because it's an OTF. 204-piece steel, the aircraft aluminum on the frame. The other great thing about this is that it comes in substantially less expensive than its other large brothers. So, for example, the Combat Troodon comes in at $485. Scarab 2 comes in at $500, $520, something like that. This guy comes in around $350 and is using the same materials and fires at least just as hard as the Combat Troodon, which is not a super important element, but it is important for people spending that much money on an OTF. Yeah, this is awesome. I love this knife. The smaller one, the Delta, or the smaller one, the smaller Dirac, the firing power is lacking. This guy, definitely, definitely, I love this knife. Moving on here, yeah, this one wasn't even on my. Here's the thing. Sometimes my perception of this stuff is different from everybody else's. So maybe this knife, the Benchmade Mediator, is or was really popular, and I just didn't know about it. I didn't even know this existed until somebody sent it in. I think at the moment these are sold out on Blade HQ, but I did find them on other parts of the internet, and I do have some other links for this thing. This is wonderful. This is like if you took the bug out and the 940 and mashed it together into a different automatic than the already automatic variant of the 940. I know that there's an automatic variant of the 940. This is like bug out meets 940 and turned into an automatic. I want to say it's about 7.8 inches overall, so about the same size as the bailout. This is in S90V steel and G10. I like S90V. I think that's cool. I think part of the reason people shy away from this is because it's a $250 knife. Had they not used S90V, it would have been less expensive, but let's face it, they would have used S30V, which would have made it even less appealing because everything from Benchmade is S30V. It doesn't change the fact that I think this knife is underrated. Have I been saying overrated periodically during this? I sure hope not. Ergonomic lines, wonderful. Texturing, wonderful. Blade shape, wonderful. Fit and finish on the one that I handled, wonderful. The only downside to this knife is that it's $250. But it's super cool. And it fires hard. For whatever reason, this knife feels... Well, truthfully, I had the same experience with the 940. It fired a lot harder than I thought it was going to. Really impressed with this. If I'm correct, and this just, didn't, catch fire with a lot of the knife world, then give this thing a shot. If you like side opening autos, and it's important to buy knives from the US, give this one a shot. The fit and finish on it was excellent. Locked out totally solid. 100% solid. No blade play. Up, down, left, or right, which is excellent, especially for a Benchmade. Pocket clip was great too. It's a really, really good knife. I wish it wasn't quite as expensive, and that makes me kind of wish it was an S90V, but okay. Here's the thing. I'd rather spend $250 on this than $270 on the 940-1 with carbon fiber and S90V. I'd much rather have this. Not everybody can own this or carry it because it's automatic, but it is excellent. Moving on here, the last knife on the list, and probably the single most underrated knife right now, period. The Spyderco Watu. I know why people didn't pick this up or why they still don't. It's because it looks freaking weird. If Porygon from Pokemon was a knife, this is what it would look like. This thing looks like a piece of origami. That's what it looks like. A rectangle and a triangle together as one. And people look at this and go, there is no way that that's ergonomic or comfortable in any way. And it's weird looking. There's only one thing that I don't like after having handled it, because truthfully, I agree with you. This looks weird. It doesn't look like something I'd want to EDC. Or it definitely doesn't look like something that's going to be comfortable. There's only one thing I don't like about this knife after having handled it. And that's, once again, that they insist on this laminate carbon fiber and G10 crap. I hate that stuff. Make it G10 or make it carbon fiber. Stop trying to make them both one thing. It's gross. I don't like it. Other than that, oh my goodness, this thing is wonderful. It's got the compression lock. It is beautifully smooth because of that bushing pivot system I think it has. Wire clip, minimal hardware, and CPM 20 CV steel for about $180. This thing is a laser beam behind the edge, an absolute laser beam. There's a little area you can see there where you can choke up right behind the blade. Much more ergonomically friendly than you would think, like 1,000 times better. I thought, oh no, it's just a curved rectangle. How am I gonna comfortably hold on to that? I don't get it. I don't get it. Everything else that I've ever looked at that had a similar profile for the hand position, I was like, that's gonna feel gross. And then I get it in hand, I'm like, yup, it's gross. For whatever reason, this knife, no, it's actually very comfortable. The few people who do own this knife, if you're watching this video right now, if you own it, let me know down in the comment section. I can guarantee, if there's 100 people, and that's not going to be the case, but if there were 100 people who own this knife, who are watching this video right now, right, 99 of them are going to go, oh my God, it is excellent. Excellent. The Watu is so underrated. Did I say what this was called? The Spyderco Watu. I don't think I actually even said it. Oh my gosh, I love this knife, and it is so out the window versus what I normally go for. I wish it was either G10 or, better yet, carbon fiber to go with the more upscale nature of, a knife with 20 CV. So good, guys. It's got the wire clip, by the way. Very good. Guys, that's going to conclude my 10 knives that are severely underrated for this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, you can pick up most of these, if not all of them, by using the links right down in the description, so I'd invite you to do that. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.